One of the most interesting times in history is 19th century America, where you have all these apocalyptic ideas and these supernatural visions and these individuals such as Ellen G. White and Joseph Smith starting these new systems of interpretation. In this work, Blood from the Sky, the author talks about how we have these famous events that we're all kind of aware of, but around that coexisted so many more lesser known visitations of miracles, wonders, magic, visions. In this article, The Fluid Line Between Revivalism and the Cults in 19th Century American Region, Scott Clark says, to most Millerites, Ellen's visions were simply another manifestation of the unfortunate religious drift of the times forward. Fanaticism. Early 19th century America abounded with prophets of every description, from little-known frontier seers in Ellen Harmon's own Methodist Church to prominent sectarian leaders. He says Mother Ann Lee of the Shakers had long since passed away, but her devoted followers perpetuated her reputation as the female Messiah, right? The return of the Christ spirit in Ann Lee and her Shakers. In the 1830s, an epidemic of visions spread through the Shaker communes as young girls began to sing, talk about angels, and describe the journey they were making under spiritual guidance to heavenly places. We see Gemma Wilkinson, the public universal friend who founded the religious community of Jerusalem in Western New York, was known for her visions and religious dreams. And then probably the most famous, Joseph Smith, the Mormon prophet from New York, began having visions at age 14, and he continued to receive divine revelations until his death in 1844. 1844, that's actually a fun year because that was when Christ was supposed to return in 1844, according to the Millerite prophecy. And out of that 1844 failed prophecy came the Seventh-day Adventist movement, and that's where we see the prophetess Ellen G. White and her visions. You also have Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science, who claimed to have visions from God. And it wasn't just visions, it was other supernatural events and superstitions. Like the title of this book is based off of a 19th century idea in 1804 in Ohio that blood rained from the sky. We see that Solomon Bailey escaped from slavery when a supernatural flock of birds made him invisible to slave catchers. In 1816, Jacob Cochran claimed to have all the powers of the apostles. Anne Mattingly of Washington, D.C. was twice healed when she appealed in prayer to the mysterious prince, whatever that word is, an ocean and a continent away from her. We see that Thomas Tallman was Maine's greatest preacher, but only when he was asleep. He also talks about another rain of blood from the sky drenched South Carolina in 1841. In the book, The Burnt Over District by Whitney Cross, it begins saying, across the rolling hills of western New York, there stretched in the second quarter of the 19th century a psychic highway. Upon this broad belt of land congregated a people extraordinarily given to unusual religious beliefs, peculiarly devoted to crusades aimed at the perfection of mankind and the attainment of millennial happiness.